Hello, and welcome to the actual episode 3 of the Microfactory series. Today, we'll be producing both the material electrum as well as its associated electrum component. It's surprisingly a pretty long one today, with 30 whole minutes. It's surprising how long it takes to produce this. This does not bode well for the future components. Might have to split one component into multiple episodes, actually. Well, that's something for future me to deal with. Anyways, in the meantime, we are going to be producing a factory that is at least similar in scale to the entire previous factory just to build electrum. Because this resource takes so much stuff. And because so many things rely on electrum in the future, we actually need to make a decent amount of it. The goal, at least for me, is to produce one electrum ingot every second. Easier said than done, which you will see. Currently, we are just trying to make acid, which is needed for the electrum solution, along with, I think, copper ore, which can just be made with that copper ore machine. As you can see here, I am simply sending those resources down to the trash loop at the bottom of the world. If you don't know what that is, you probably should watch episodes 1 or 2, considering they are essentially covering the same thing. But right here, I realize I actually do need that nitrogen. So, we're just gonna delete it. Or delete the thing that's deleting it. This way we can actually use it. Bringing it up and over. We will actually have to move the acid up, because we do actually need the acid to be on the other side. Most recipes in this chain require a full 3 items, and most of them are relatively scattered, I'd say. So, just wait for that, and boom! We now have our whole thing kind of set up. We've got our electrum solution. 3 minutes out of 30 minutes. So, yeah, the solution is the easy part. Now we've got to make sulfur and coal in order to produce ourselves the actual stuff we need. Right around here, I realized that I actually have, in the handbook, 2 different recipes that produce electrum ingots. I will have to fix this in the next update. I did not think that that was a thing there, and I'm gonna have to, well, fix things. I'm thinking of making one give off some sort of byproduct, though I cannot think of what it could be. Let me know if you have any ideas down below in the comments. Preferably it's an item already in the game. And while you're down there, you might as well hit the like button and subscribe. The more support I get on these videos, the more, motivation I have to actually do so many of these things. I don't know what else to say. I'm just really hope that I can turn this into a actual living and have a life where I could do this. That certainly is the dream. Well, now we've got our sulfur, now we just need our coal. Which, if you've seen the second episode, you will know is made by pressing charcoal, which is made from planks, which is made from logs. It's one of the simpler items in the game. Everything in the wood line is pretty simple. But now we've reached the powder, or whatever I call it. Can't remember what it's called in the game. Because every item does have a name. Let's see, what is it called? Wait for me to hover over it. It is, well, now we're just getting rid of stone, so guess we won't get to see it yet. We will need stone in future stuff, but there is a machine that just produces it, so it's not super useful to us. Electrum powder. Okay, I forgot what that was. I think the next video, we will not be building any components, we will just be building a rocket production facility. Considering how long it took to make the electrum one, I think we're gonna split the future components up a little. Right here, we are currently making trash or pollution because we want to produce copper and zinc for brass. We could technically borrow from the brass facility all the way down there, but I don't really want to put any more strain on it, and also, why not make it all on site? I think this brass production actually might be part of the reason why this video is so long. It's mainly because I have to build multiple of them and go back. Because, yeah, as it turns out, one thing producing brass is nowhere near enough. And 5 things for pollution is also nowhere near enough. Most certainly, we need some more pollution production, especially if we plan to triple this, which I eventually will do. Now that we have our copper and zinc, we simply gotta smelt it together and get our brass. Throughout this entire video, I deal with a decent amount of lag because of how big this factory is. The next microfactory update, no doubt, will have a ton of optimizations and performance improvements because it's starting to get kinda crazy. There we go. That's our brass ingots. Here I debated turning down the simulation distance, but decided against it because it might break some things down below us in the factory. I'm debating switching the simulation system, the places machines run, to because currently it's just simulation distance above you and simulation distance below you. And there's usually not a whole lot above you. So the idea is like 10 tiles above you and like all the way to the bottom. Or simulation distance down. Now I've just got to make steel, which is, compared to the brass, it's relatively easy. There's a lot of weird items in this game, I just realized, that don't have, like, a good purpose yet. For example, there's an entire system for producing paper and cardboard, and I have yet to implement that into anything. Should I implement that as like an earlier component that you can produce like right at the beginning? Maybe that can be like the byproduct from using something like pulp, because wood pulp is one of the resources. Yeah, right here I realize that it takes quite a while to produce this stuff. So I make the decision to build more brass, which is definitely a smart one because, again, this is a very important resource that we will be using a ton in the future. So we're essentially going to be copying everything we did before. Maybe in the next update I also add like blueprints or something. While I was doing this, I definitely had performance on my mind because it's kinda laggy. What would happen if I simply made like a way to take a collection of machines and compress them into one microfactory? I know I'm hilarious. But like, what if I'm just thinking, like, you could make a giant production facility and then compress that down into like a single machine that copies what that does. I mean, it would make performance so much better. Like, undoubtedly. Because it's just one machine that occasionally produces stuff. We'd have to figure out how to add those into the UI, though. Where would you put them? Should I add a separate menu, or should I just continue with adding them, like, maybe right above the keypad, but, like, below that machine identifier, the thing that shows what machine selected? I wonder. I think it would be best to add them in that area. They could produce some sort of amount of resources, could have inputs and outputs. You'd have to select an area. Man, that'd be interesting to do. Well, that'll give me plenty of stuff to think of for the next update. Because those micro factories might actually be a pretty cool way to add stuff. Because that would definitely help with performance if there's just a couple machines doing that. Maybe I add the restriction that you can't put a microfactory in a microfactory? That feels like a valid thing to do. Because I'd like there to still be a bit of a logistical challenge with space, considering how restricted you are horizontally. Who knows? Because I had that alternate recipe, that the duplicate, on my mind, I decided to use the one that I don't think I want to change, because, I don't know, I think it's recipe 12, isn't it? Yeah, it's recipe 12. Because I definitely want to change that in the next update. Even though there is no saving between updates currently, which will be another thing to add to the list. And I think next update is just going to be quality of life and stuff. I mean, that definitely isn't the worst thing to do. Definitely could use it. Currently, I am checking what resources actually use electrum, so I know what kinds of resources I don't want to reproduce, I guess. I'm essentially just trying to only use the stuff that I think. And it appears that I missed something. I missed that the electrum solution will actually be needed in the future. Luckily, though, the solution isn't super hard to produce, so I might just make that. It only took 3 minutes in this video, so I doubt it'll take much longer. Right here, we are now producing electrum wire, I believe, because we're trying to make electrum circuits. Now we've just got to produce the mesh, which is recipe 19. And then we just have to have a board to put it on, which is just an electrum ingot. I debate whether I should just move the entire mesh thing to the other side or just move it up. I eventually decide to move it up, although it looks a little less pretty. It's better than nothing. Now that they're together, we can just make the board. You may be wondering that how is there 10 minutes left if we're essentially done? Well, there's quite a few things that I guess you could say we forgot to take care of. Oh yeah, also I remembered that I will need electrum mesh at later points, so we are actually completely redoing this entire thing in an attempt to, I guess, make it available for the future, you could say. Now we've got our electrum mesh and our electrum ingots. Around this time I realized, why is this so slow? It should be producing an ingot every second. Then I realize how slow the brass is, because it doesn't have any pollution, like, at all. So, it's time to begin producing so much pollution that I was gonna try to put a dig at some company, but I can't think of any of them. We produce so much pollution we'll rival an AI data center. Does that work? Oh well. I had to remove everything because I'm trying to plan out the space everything will take. Because there needs to be room to get the pollution out of there. Surprisingly, even with this much production, we are still too slow. With all this, still too slow. So, we've got to bring it all down, and hopefully this will at least help a little. But we're going to have to make a lot more. We're not producing nearly enough. So we're going to have to make even more. It's crazy how much pollution you need to sustain one of these things. It's actually crazy how much you need for 3 machines. Or processing lines, or whatever you want to call them. I believe this, though, will finally make us pretty much good on pollution. This will allow us to, actually function. Which means we should be done with our little pollution debacle for good now. Which will hopefully allow us to actually continue onwards with making our circuit boards, which require CPUs. If you watched the last video, you know that we have CPU production. It's just a little down there. But for some reason, I wanted to keep pretty much everything in this system kind of self-contained, I guess. So we will not be using that and just make another one. Which has definitely helped to contribute to our extensive amount of time in this video. I did not think this video would be 30 minutes long. In the background, I'm hearing the Jeopardy music from whatever source, so that's kind of funny. Now, it's time to produce a bunch of circuit boards. I think it'd be really funny if the final item in this game was just RAM, because of how much it costs to make RAM nowadays. That'd be pretty funny. I need something to talk about. What should I talk about? Seriously, in the comments, give me ideas for topics to talk about while this footage is going on. I would really appreciate it. Now we just have to make the circuits and the CPUs. Doesn't take a whole lot of effort, but it does take a decent amount. We will need our copper wire, which is, again, really easy to produce. It's one of those easier resources like coal or charcoal. It's kind of nice. Even steel is relatively easy to produce. I remember when circuit boards were the hardest item to produce in the entire game. Now they're just stupidly easy compared to some other things, like the entirety of electrum processing. This entire video, we're just trying to make one item. It's kind of crazy. Unless I accidentally set the recipe to 3 and it won't produce anything. Surprisingly takes me like a couple minutes to realize that. Or a couple seconds at least. It felt way longer when I was doing it. I don't know why. And that is essentially the electrum circuit board done. But you may notice there's 5 minutes left in this video. Well, first things first, we actually have to bring that electrical component up here to actually use it. This actually does use recipe 3. And there's our electrum component, our electrum circuit. Now, we need the electrum gem. I forgot that was a thing. It just needs a ingot and some wire, but I completely forgot it existed. So it's a good thing that this area right here has the perfect spot to split off some electrum and take care of it, I guess. Now we just bring up our ingot. This is where the lag might be a little more noticeable in the footage. I really like the polishing icon, or machine, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know why. It just looks nice. I think the one I spent the most time on is the rocket silo. It's right below the chemical plant, and you can see it in its, like, launching off animation. That took a decent amount of thought. It's definitely not the greatest. Definitely could have done better. But now it's time to bring up the electrical components. And miss that one button and have to go all the way back down eventually. You can see all the stuff that we had to produce just to make this one component. It's beautiful, isn't it? I am so proud of this. I mean, it definitely doesn't have the greatest amount of stuff, but I like it. Makes me wonder what would happen if I tried to make something that produced more than one electrum every machine tick, I guess you could call it. Well, we are essentially done. All we have to do is bring in the electrical components, move a couple things around, and we are essentially done. In the next video, we will be working on rocket ships and actually going to space. That'll be exciting. Over here, I'm looking at that we actually will need electrum circuits for the rocket, so we are splitting some of those off for later. I actually had foresight in this one, isn't that crazy? But I also realized that we are apparently lacking in electrical components. So, we've got to go see what's going on. And it looks like we forgot the conveyor belt. But that is essentially the end of it. We just have to place the assembly machine and assembly line, we are essentially done. I am very proud of the build we made today. I hope the video was relatively entertaining. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Well, we are essentially done, so have a fantastic day.